Commissioners Public Forum. Anybody here for that? All right, hearing none, moving on. Number 3, warrants and abatements. Paul?
Do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Yes.
Ken is on and Dave is on, Paul.
Okay.
So there's 3 of you.
Very good. Well, good evening, everyone. And I'd like to, first of all, make a motion to approve the minutes of May 3rd, 2021 as written.
I second that motion.
Roll call vote, Peter.
All right. Mr. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Gagner?
Aye.
And Mr. Cantwell?
Aye.
All right.
Go ahead with the minutes, Paul.
Yeah, next I'd like to make a motion to approve the following warrants. First of all, we have Commissioner's salary, $400. WB Mason for office supplies, $28.06. And LaForte Electric for a couple things here. I guess we get 13J Hammond Road and 55 North Sturbridge pump control changeout, $1,190. Next, we have McClure Engineering for waterline construction, $1,080. Again, we have Veolia for metals testing, $1,063. Veolia again for pack coagulant, $4,231.44. Again, Veolia for 5 East and 6 West lab testing, $184. Once more, Veolia for emergency services at the wastewater treatment plant, $129.54. And lastly, for Veolia, our monthly services, $39,096.64. Then we have Toshiba for copier billing, February to May, $40.40. And lastly, the Boston Globe for processing of the May 2021 billing, $373.69 for a total of $47,816.77.
Can I get a second?
I second that motion.
Roll call vote, Peter.
Coleman?
Yes. Aye.
Mr. Gagner?
Aye.
And Mr. Cantwell?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Scheduled appointments. We're a little ahead of time. Is Vinny on the phone?
Yeah, Vinny's on.
So I'm going to be going over the monthly operating report for April. The month of April, we were fully staffed with Dylan Moriarty and Thomas Popman and myself. Training for the month, the safety training consisted of confined spaces and permit required spaces. And that was on the JJ Keller, which we've been doing through the whole COVID thing. Compliance in the month of April, there was a BOD event. The limit for BOD weekly average is 18 milligrams per liter. Plant received the results at 36.5 milligrams per liter. Due to that high reading, we also exceeded the weekly pounds limit. The limit's 67 pounds. We reported 68.8. We only run that test once a week. So if it's a bad result, we don't know for 10 days. So there's no chance of retesting. We measure.
Vinny, where's that BOD coming from?
We don't know. BOD is biological oxygen demand. Basically, it's microorganisms that consume oxygen. Everything in wastewater consumes oxygen. Some things consume more. We thought it might have been Treehouse, so we went up and we toured their plant. And they actually have really good record keeping of all of their daily sampling. And at their treatment plant, nothing was out of line. So, I mean, to say it wasn't bypassed or whatever, I couldn't go there. But as far as their treatment plant goes, everything was running good on that day. I'm guessing it was coming from the MTAs. They're always a good source of loading. But the reading was double what we normally get.
Right.
So we normally get a BOD coming into the plant of 500, and it was over 1,000 on that day. So in April, we started doing the DMRQAQC, and we reported a reading of 6.19, and the reading they assigned to that sample was a 6.14. So we were real close. That's a mandatory proficiency test. It's ordered by the EPA for every lab that reports state readings has to do the proficiency testing. The test samples come from a third-party vendor and they're certified. And Veolia uses ERA, which is a real reputable company. The operations and maintenance activities for the month, we cleaned out the scrap pile and brought it in and gave the town a check for $216.96. Continuing from March, we worked on the Headworks screening plant a little more. We found that the grit conveyor was frozen in place. So we started cleaning that out. We had Slims come in and they spent about a half a day sucking all the grit out from that conveyor. It's basically like a big screw that helps the grit move back to the classifier. Inside the plant, we gave it a spring cleaning. We power washed all the big covers that go over the RBCs and the walls. And basically, because we have water in the building, we got these little mosquitoes that don't bite called midge flies. And with the big population of midge flies, you get a big population of spiders that make webs everywhere. So it's an ongoing battle, but we decided to wash everything to get them down in the spring and see if it would hold out. So far, the plant still looks pretty good. Let's see, EQ Tank 2, both pumps had issues in the month of April. We had LaFleur Electric out to troubleshoot it. One of the pumps had a burnt out VFD. The other one had shorted wiring. So while we were waiting for a new VFD to come in, they swapped the wiring using the good wires and the good VFD to get one pump running. We picked up lime from Sturbridge in April, and that really benefits us in sharing the cost of delivery. Sturbridge buys their chemicals in really big bulk. They buy tractor trailer loads of lime at a time. So when we go over there and buy it from them, we share the cost of shipping and we get their big discount. So it benefits us to go to the neighbor and work with them. We started loading work orders into the new maintenance software. And basically it's an item by item task. We open the O&M manuals, go through, see what they recommend for scheduled maintenance, and we're adding it in as we go. We're trying to get a couple of pieces a week added in there so we can build it up to be a real nice, robust tool to work with. We had LaFleur Electric out here again to install a new pH probe and user interface into a flash mix tank. The one that was there kept getting stuck and it wouldn't read consistently, and me and Peter had talked about it several times and we finally got the new equipment to replace it. It's been working great with none of the issues the old one had. We started making a spill containment around the pack totes. So to save money, we made an agreement with the pack supplier that they could come and refill the totes on site. And to make that feasible, they have to bring over 1,000 gallons. So we need to have 5 empty totes for them. And because of the risk of what if somebody spills it while they're here, we built a spill containment around the totes. It's not a perfectly engineered containment, but it'll do the trick if they spill some. The collection system activities for the month. All the pump stations that needed daily checks were checked. The ones receiving the weekly alarm tests, we got all those completed. We had Slim Sewer Service out to clean North Sturbridge Road's wet well. That one builds up with a lot of grease and rags. And then we also had them clean out Old Worcester Road. We were looking for the asphalt in that wet well. We did find some, but it wasn't like dump truck loads like we were kind of expecting from the report we got from the jet crew. The pump station on Route 20, we refer to it as 5 East. We cleaned it inside and out. We planted some arborvitaes out front, and we posted signs on all the pump stations with contact info. So basically, we have an on-call operator 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and that phone number contacts that on-call operator. There's a little picture I shared of the Route 20 pump station. You can see the trees and the new signage. We only had one grinder pump call in April. It was on 55 North Sturbridge Road. It was an old system. We replaced the pump. The pump was bad. And then we contacted Ed LaFord Electric to come out and upgrade the system, which he did at a later date. Dig safes for the month, we received 175 dig safes in April.
That's the most I've ever seen, Vinny.
It was insane, Dave. I had two guys out there every day after the plant was taken care of. They were spending 4 hours a day doing dig safes for over a week. And
was there any concentrated spot, Vinny?
yeah, it's everywhere where they're tying in the new water services.
Okay.
But they just called them all in at once, and we hadn't laid eyes on these things since last spring. So I really wanted to get out there and get some fresh paint on the ground so they could kind of see what was there if they didn't realize it.
Okay.
My new hire, Dylan Moriarty, he passed his grade 1 certification. That concludes the MOR for April. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, hearing nothing, Vinny, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
We're ahead of schedule, Peter, for our 7:10 appointment.
We have a few other things to go over under Veolia, Mr. Chair, if that's all right.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. So we have a couple quotes that I'd like you to consider. At your last meeting, Vinny talked about the volumetric lime feeder, possibly purchasing that and the shed. And then to tie into that, I'd like you to consider purchasing an alkalinity analyzer at the same time. We have two separate quotes. So for the volumetric lime feeder that Vinny was talking about that we can put out on EQ tanks 2 and 3 to automatically feed lime, the cost for the feeder itself, the shed, and the electrician to wire everything up is $17,000. So what that would help Vinny with operationally is he wouldn't have to go down there and just dump a 50-gallon bag of lime into EQ tanks 2 or 3 like once a day, not knowing if it needs it or not. And the alkalinity analyzer, what that does is that makes the lime feeder actually work a lot more efficiently through the SCADA system. So the alkalinity analyzer will provide data to the SCADA system, and the SCADA system can then relay that information or use that information to activate the lime feeder based on what we're getting for a reading of alkalinity. And the reason this is a priority is we've known in the past that alkalinity is a strong indicator of whether or not the plant is operating efficiently. The headwork study we had Ty and Bond do a couple of years ago for us identified alkalinity as a reason as to why we didn't meet our discharge limit a couple of times. So I think if you were to vote to approve both of these kind of projects, the timing is great right now because with the SCADA upgrade, we can get the alkalinity analyzer installed and get it tied in with the new SCADA upgrade at the same time, get the volumetric lime feeder and shed installed so that once everything's done, it can all get buttoned up at the same time and really kind of help Vinny operate the plant so that we'll have a known quantity of what alkalinity is coming into the plant. And then that volumetric lime feeder will add lime accordingly.
How do you add lime now, Peter?
Right now they just have 50-pound bags of lime that they cut open and dump into a manhole on top of EQ tanks 2 and 3.
So they don't really know how much it needs or doesn't need. I mean, they could be wasting some every day.
Oh, definitely. They could be adding too much, adding not enough, adding it at the wrong time because, again, we're not there 24/7.
So Dave,
and how much does this hopper hold, Peter? Do you know?
It's a 3.5 cubic foot hopper, and roughly it'll hold a little over 100 pounds.
So you're gonna have to fill that thing every day instead, Vinny?
Yes, but what happens is when we dump a bag in, a portion of it gets mixed in with the water and a portion of it goes straight to the bottom of the tank. So probably a couple times a year, we should be sucking this tank out, suck up all that lime sludge and get rid of it. Where if we use a volumetric feeder, it sprinkles it in nice and easy. And actually the volumetric feeder has a mix tank. So it'll mix it into a lime slurry before it even gets dropped into the EQ tanks. So we used to add the lime powder in Headworks. And when we took that Headworks screening plant apart, there was lime sludge 1.5 to 2 feet thick in the bottom of the tank. And that's really what the gears turning about doing it a better way.
Yeah. So when's the last time we had that sludge sucked out of the tank that we're putting in now?
Well, we just moved to the EQ tanks, which mix better than where we were previously dumping. And one of the EQ tanks we just cleaned a few months ago.
Okay. Was there a lot on the bottom?
We cleaned it before we started adding lime. We cleaned it for a different reason. And
Paul or Cam, you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I do. We got a price on the line feeder of 17,000. I didn't hear the price on the alkalinity analyzer.
The price on the alkalinity analyzer is $21,000 from Hawk, and that is with Veolia's discount. Without Veolia's discount, that analyzer would cost us approximately $36,000.
So for the both, we're talking $38,000.
Yes. So we're fortunate with our FY21 budget that we have adequate funds remaining in our capital account and our O&M account so that we can fund these purchases out of the current year's budget. So again, I think it's a wise investment for you to make. I think it really would help Vinny operate the plant a lot more efficiently and just help everything run a lot more smoothly.
so currently when we measure alkalinity, the plant has a total detention time of 3 days, and we're measuring alkalinity 2.5 days past where we add the lime. So when we add lime, we see the result from that 2 to 2.5 days later. So it's really tough to balance when we need to add it and when we don't. And that alkalinity analyzer is going to help us narrow that window down.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion then that we order both the line feeder and the alkalinity analyzer for a total of 17 and 21 or $38,000.
I second that notion.
We're on a roll call vote.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen.
Moving on, Peter. Lawn maintenance.
Yes. So Veolia is responsible for the lawn maintenance at the sewer treatment plant and all the pump stations. They take care of the lawn with equipment owned by the town. Vinny mentioned to me last week that the lawnmower for the plant is a little older and needs some major service and may need to be replaced. With the equipment we have, it takes an average of 6 to 10 hours per week to maintain the plant. And it's quite a bit of time considering there's only 3 employees to operate the plant on a daily basis with the many other responsibilities that they have throughout the day. The town has a mowing contract with CCL Landscapers. I reached out to them to get a cost estimate from them to maintain the sewer plant only for us. Their price is approximately $800 per month. Again, this is a conservative number. I know this might sound high at first, but because of the plant is not extremely large, but it's also not a flat field. So with all the slopes and with all the structures that they have to mow around and then also trim around, including the fencing and, like I said, all the structures, different structures scattered throughout the facility, the gentleman we talked to from CCL said he's planning on two guys, and it'll take them 2 to 3 hours each to mow, to really take care of the plant area, to trim and mow. And he averages $65 an hour per guy. So just doing the simple math here, $360 to $400 per time they come out to mow based on that. And this time of year, it could probably come out every 2 weeks. Towards the end of summer, it could possibly be once every 3 weeks or once a month, as you know, things dry up a little bit, get warmer, and the lawn doesn't grow as often. So again, I think Vinny does a great job operating the plant, and I think him having to maintain the property is kind of a big draw of time away of other things that they could be doing to operate the plant more effectively, more efficiently, or more time they could be spent, more time they could be spending at the plant making other improvements that they want to do as well. So I'd ask you to just consider it, that maybe we allow this to, allow CCL to maintain the sewer plant for the remainder of the year. And then Vinny can focus on the other projects that we have going on. And if it works well, we can continue it next year. If you don't like it and it seems like a lot of money, we can look into maybe getting some new equipment for Veolia to maintain the property next year.
I personally think it's a great idea to get somebody else to mow the lawn, not Veolia, and have Vinny mowing the lawn. I actually didn't know that they did that.
So they'll still keep the smaller equipment, the push mower and the trimmer, to go to the pump stations, as they do throughout their daily inspections or weekly inspections, and maintain the individual pump stations. This would just be for CCL to maintain the treatment plant. So again, because Vinny's been shorthanded the last couple of weeks, he's had a short crew here and there. The lawn is kind of overgrown. So when CCL was there, he did offer to come out, have two guys come out. He said it would be approximately $600 for them to come out, do the entire plant, knock everything down, trim all the fences and the road edges coming into the plant from Route 20, and then also spray herbicides and treat for poison ivy. So I did authorize that under our current limit account. And I think moving forward, I think it lets Vinny be a lot more effective doing what he should be doing to operate the plant, not just having his guys spend 8 hours every other week or 10 hours every other week mowing the lawn.
You looking for a motion on this, Peter?
A motion would be nice, just so it's documented that you authorized, CCL to do this. As long as there's no objection, I'm comfortable moving forward with myself authorizing it. But again, I think for everybody to be able to look back and reference it, a motion would be better. If as long as there's no objection, or if anybody has any questions.
I have no objection to the lawn maintenance plan that you guys laid out.
Paul?
I have no objection either.
All right, can I get a motion?
I motion to move forward to let CCL maintain the lawn.
Paul, you want to second that? Paul, can I get a second?
I did. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Perhaps.
Peter, roll call vote.
All right, Mr. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Gagner.
Aye.
And Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Vinny.
Thanks, Vinny.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate all that.
Let's see. Moving on, Peter. We're early again here for beta. Are they on?
I don't see anybody here yet. So if you want to move on to new business.
Yeah, let's move on to new business. We've got a vacation carryover.
Yes. So Sue and I both have a vacation week available to carry over. Just looking for the board's approval to do so.
We're talking about carrying over into July, which is the next fiscal year then.
Yes. So yeah, fiscal year 21 ends on June 30. Fiscal year 22.
I'll make a motion to allow you to carry those vacation days over.
I will second that.
All right, roll call vote, Peter.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Coleman, Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Good. Thank you.
Want to move on to old business, Peter?
Sure.
Waterline construction update.
Yes. So the school loop, again, is active. ExxonMobil has sent out their first mailing letting residents know about the 1-year grace period to connect. The letter is attached. Sue is working with Kleinfelder to determine the best time to send our letter to residents who have not already committed to connect. So again, Sue has attached the letter and a copy of the refusal agreement or the agreement to connect, just for your review.
Peter, who's keeping track of the return receipt requested slips?
Kleinfelder will for this, because
Okay.
they're the ones who are doing that mailing.
Are we sending out
on
our
behalf
own?
of ExxonMobil. We are going to send our own letter. ExxonMobil,
Yep.
I know in the past the boards talked about sending a certified return receipt just like Kleinfelder is.
Yeah.
But, and again, not to speak, but Sue, in Sue's discussion with Maura from Kleinfelder, she asked that we just send ours regular mail, because sometimes people just reject certified return receipt when it's in their, when it's at their PO box or in their mailbox. They don't want to sign off on it if they don't know what it is. So maybe a more friendly letter from us that's not certified or return receipt might get them to open it and read through it.
I just don't want to hear from one person in town that they didn't know.
I'm not sure anything that we can do can prevent that. But I think everything that so Kleinfelder, based on what DEP is requiring them, has to send, I believe, a minimum of 2, possibly 3 certified mailings within this 1-year period to let people know.
Yeah.
And we're going to send our mailing, again, probably towards the middle to end of the summer, so that it's coordinated with ExxonMobil. We'll get the list of people who aren't committed yet, so we don't send a letter to people who have already agreed to connect or who have been connected.
Yeah.
And again, I think if we just send that letter regular mail, hopefully it will get delivered and opened.
Peter, do you know off the top of your head how many people are getting offered town water?
So I believe that there's just over 200 to 220 possible connections. I believe we're at
We're at
50%.
We've received 101 saying that they committed.
So we're about 50% right now.
Okay.
So we'd have to send out approximately 120 letters.
Yeah.
Just letting people know that.
The 101 are the people that said yes. We don't know who's declined, so it could be less letters.
Right.
I drafted a letter and I can send it out to you guys for review, and then I'll send it to Maura to see what she thinks.
Perfect. Anything else, Peter?
No, that's really just kind of keeping you guys in the loop of what's going on. I know you want to make sure everyone who's on that loop gets the information to know what the time frame is and when they have to decide by.
Yeah.
So
I'm confident that they'll get the information, Peter. Like I said, I just don't want to hear from somebody in town that say they didn't get it.
Yeah. No, I agree. No matter what we do, you still might have that person say that.
Sure.
And that letter might be sitting on their kitchen table when they say it. So
sure.
Again, I think we're doing everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what else we can do other than we could probably knock on everyone's door and let them know, and someone would still say, I didn't know.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
I was just thinking if we had the return receipt requested slip with their signature on it, we know they got the letter. I guess that's my only thought process behind that.
I'm sure we can ask Maura to share her return receipts with us so that we know.
That would be good.
She said she would.
She would. Yeah. All right. That's good enough for me then. As I want to have something signed by each person that just has, at least we know they got the letter.
Yep.
All right, and as far as the service connections go, Albanese Brothers continue to install service lines to homes, and they're working with their subcontractors to make the actual connections inside of the homes. Kleinfelder has been providing detailed information for each connection to Sue as they take place. So things are going fairly well with the water line construction. So that's all I have for old business, unless anyone has any questions under the water line construction update.
Oh. Beta's here.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, if you want to go back to our 7:10 appointment with Beta Group, Andy Dennehy has joined us. I know we're early, Andy, but if you don't mind, we can probably get started now.
Sure, yeah, thank you. I hope I didn't delay anything.
No, you're on time.
Yeah, no, we were early. We just jumped around a little bit, we took care of some other business and we're ready to go.
Okay, so I think you guys have seen our utility plan. I do, Bob wanted me to pass his apologies on. He had another commitment. So I'm jumping in for him, but I think you guys have seen the utility plan that we've developed.
Yeah, so I didn't attach it because it's tough to really look at that on kind of a small, on an 11 by 17 and see any detail.
Sure.
That information was forwarded, that set of plans was forwarded to the commissioners for their review.
Okay. I don't know if everybody's looked at it. I can share my screen and zoom in if we'd like.
Like that.
Yeah, if you just want to give us a quick overview of the sheet that shows the proposed access road, Andy.
Sure, yep.
And again, these plans are already approved by Conservation Commission and by the Planning Board, right? So they are ready to go out to bid.
They are, yeah. So what I'd like to do is show the utility plan if I can.
Sure.
Which does show the access road. Let me know when you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, so I mean, here's the access road. I think I'm going to zoom in. We're coming in here. There's obviously a lot of cuts and fills, or really more cuts than anything that we're doing. I think what probably makes the most sense to look at is the water line for each well. So, you know, we don't know where the exact location of the wells are going to be. But what we're doing is we're providing a hydrant and a gate valve that will allow flushing and testing of each of these wells along the route here. And then obviously electrical ducts to each well. So that'll be pump power, transducer levels in each well, and any meter information that we'll need. So very simply, we have all that laid out. And then we have, as you know, the wells are fairly deep. So we've outlined a spot for a pump station. So what will happen is the well pumps will pump to this pump station. And we've laid, we have piping here as well. Again, a hydrant, valving, dead-ended for when we put this pump station in. And then again, electrical conduit and water main out to the main road at Gale Road. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about how we would do this or the design.
So the main design, the main road design is pretty much set in stone because of the approval with conservation and planning board, correct?
Correct.
So I guess the biggest thing for the commission to realize is that part of this request for a proposal is going to include, when this road is built, installing the water line and the electrical conduit at the same time so that this won't have to be dug up again when the site is developed.
Correct.
And I guess maybe when we put this out to bid, Andy, we can do the access road as designed as the main bid, and then do the electrical conduit and water main as a bid alternate in case the board decides to move forward with just the access road for now.
Yeah, and that would be fine. And you could, yeah. And actually, that's probably what we would recommend. You know, the site work and then the utility work and then paving after the fact. Or, you know, honestly, paving you'd probably want to do last.
Yep.
But yeah, no, access road, you know, there's a lot of fill that needs to be removed. There's a lot of earthwork that needs to happen. So that's what we would recommend, is to do that. And then, you know, you, as you said, you have an additive to do some of the electrical conduit and the water main.
So if the board is comfortable with that, that means the main work that we will get a bid on is doing the access road only, doing the cuts and fills, making the well site accessible. So if we wanted to move forward with drilling some more, some of the public water supply wells for future testing, the equipment will be able to get up onto the site, because the current road that's there, the big well rigs that would have to gain access to drill the 8-inch wells could not get to the well site even if we wanted to. And then depending on what the cost is to run the water line and electrical line at the same time, you could determine if you wanted to do it or not based on the prices that we get and what we have available for funding.
Peter, the contractor that gets awarded the bid, are they going to be able to take that gravel out of there as part of their?
Yes, that will be part of their responsibility, is to remove all the access gravel. And the hope is that access gravel to the right contractor will have value to it,
right? So
that their cost for us to have them do the access road will be less than if that gravel wasn't there. And until we do this RFP process, we won't know that for sure.
Okay.
So based on what we have with the FY20, the FY20 Water Master Plan grant money that we're still working off of, Beta was able to finish this site plan, get it approved with planning board and conservation, and they are ready. Andy, right? I believe they are ready to actually put this out to bid for us.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Andy,
so we would have these drawings and then a bid package.
Andy, what's your process of letting contractors know that this is available to bid?
Well, so a public bid, there's state law is local newspaper, the Central Register, and then Combis, which is a state page that is a procurement page. So that's the advertisement requirements. If there's anything else you'd like to see as far as advertisement, we can certainly do that. We tend to let contractors know who do this kind of work. Hey, this is out here, but that's the three required advertisement mechanisms.
Thank you.
So if everyone is comfortable with what they're seeing for the site plan and the access road design, if there's no objection to authorize Beta to continue and prepare the RFP package.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. And is anybody else? You don't need a motion for that, Fear, do you?
Again, I like motions because it just documents it in our minutes. And if someone questions why we did it, we can just look back to the motion that was made because it will be spelled out in the minutes. So I know it seems extremely formal, but it definitely helps when you're looking back and you ask us, well, when do we approve this to get done? You know, we can look it up in the minutes and say, you know, this meeting at this time, you made this motion.
Sure.
So I guess if there's no objection, if someone wouldn't mind making a motion to, you know, approve moving forward with the RFP process, that would be great.
I'll make a motion to approve moving forward with the request for proposal package, period.
I second that motion.
Roll call vote, Peter.
All right, Mr. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Gagner.
Aye.
And Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
All right. So I guess, Andy, is there anything else you need from us as far as that goes?
No, I think that's it. There'll probably be some smaller details about bid dates and contract numbers and bids if we need that. But other than that, we'll proceed to final design and be ready to put this out for you.
What's the turnaround time on those packets, Andy, about?
I'm sorry.
What's the turnaround time to do that and actually put it out to bid? Is this a week process? Is it a month process? It's not a month. It's probably a couple weeks. Okay.
You know, we have a QA QC process that we would put the project through. We advertise, so the central register, which is that's really what most people are going to get the project info through, is advertised on a Thursday to come out the following Wednesday. So I'd say it's probably a little tight for this Thursday, but I would think that you're talking 2 or 3 Wednesdays from now to have this out.
Fantastic. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Andy? All right.
So, Mr. Chair, staying with Beta, I've been talking with Bob Mackey about trying to come up with waterline routes analysis. Just kind of a high-level overview of what we'd be looking at to get water from this well site up to our current infrastructure at the middle school or heritage school on Oxford Road. So Bob presented us a scope of work for the waterline routes analysis. This will identify possible water main routes, and the proposed cost is $7,500, and it would be covered by the Water Master Plan grant. A copy was attached with your packets, so it will. In the scope, it says we'll identify up to 3 potential routes to convey water from Bovingfield to existing water distribution. It will estimate the total static head that will be used for future hydraulic analysis, and will size the pumps. It will estimate the cost of each route using typical dollar per foot numbers, and it will prepare and submit an alternatives analysis letter report. So again, this is work that still falls under that FY20 Water Master Plan grant that we're currently working under. And I believe in discussions with Bob, they would be able to complete this work before the June 30th deadline, if it's approved tonight, to fall under that grant timeline. Is that correct, Andy?
Yeah, correct.
So I guess if the board has any questions on that, I'd be interested to hear, I guess, what your thoughts are.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask, so the 3 potential routes that it would uncover, would those be the only options for us to choose from?
No, it would just give you an overview right now. If something else comes up in the future that we didn't think of right now, we could always shift and review that. Okay. So this isn't any type of design like you're seeing in front of you here for the access road. This will just be truly a high level routes analysis to say, if you go this way, it'll show all 3 routes on a map, you know, probably different color routes, and just give you an overview of what the possibilities are. In my discussions working with Bob and Andy over the next couple of weeks, we'll probably consider 5, 6 different routes, prioritize them, and pick the top 3 to present to you guys with the additional details. And we could probably possibly even draw some different colored lines to show, 2 or 3 other alternative routes that might have been talked about, but that we didn't go into detail, really, this level of detail with.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Peter, has anybody been talking to the Army Corps at all?
No, I think the next discussions with the Army Corps, I think we'll need to have this information for them to truly be able to give us feedback.
I gotcha.
In my discussions with the Army Corps so far, it's always been, well, we need to see what you're proposing. Right. So until we get to this point, all they're looking at is, me drawing on a piece of paper with a highlighter saying, this is what we're talking about. And it's enough for them to say, yeah, thanks for nothing. Let's, give us something a little bit more that we can review. And I think this will allow us to do that, to say, all right, this is what we're considering. This is what we're thinking will work. They can look at these plans, or they won't be plans, but look at these conceptual drawings and say, all right, and let us know where they might want more information. Or, Beta might look at it, come back and do the cost analysis and say, it's not feasible to run that way. You need to go this way instead. So.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Gotcha. All right. Well, can I get a motion then?
Motion to proceed with the water line routes analysis plan.
I'll second it.
Peter, roll call vote.
Mr. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Gagner?
Aye.
And Mr. Cantwell?
Yeah, I just want to clarify it's for 7,500.
Yes, there'll be a not to exceed amount of 7,500. That's included in the proposal.
Thank you. All right. Peter, want to move on to the grant scope of work for FY 2022?
Yeah, so typically what we've been doing with the DEP is that before each fiscal year begins, we've been providing them with a scope of work for what we'd like to accomplish in the next fiscal year. And they've been very kind in funding our request with up to $200,000 of funding to keep continuing with this project. So again, the initial grant started in 2017 with a $200,000 grant, and we were able to kind of continue that to FY18, FY19, FY20. With COVID last year, we did submit a scope of work for FY21 that did not get approved. So that's why we are still working on FY20 funding. And so for FY22, in talking to Bob, he's prepared a scope of work that pretty much just has, because we're going out to bid for the access road, depending what we're going to get for proposals, the proposed scope of work to consider is just constructing the access road. And we're going to ask them for $200,000 to kind of allow us to do that. So a copy of this the proposed scope of work for FY22 is attached to your packet. And if approved, what we'll do is we'll forward this to Michelle Higgins at the DEP and tell her this is what we'd like to do with next year's funding if we were fortunate enough to get it, and see what their thoughts are or concerns and get their feedback. In our FY21 scope of work, one of the things we asked for was examining potential well sites on other properties. And they seem to have concerns about that. One, they weren't sure what properties we were talking about because we really didn't identify them yet at that time. Second, oh, we lost Andy. Second was that I think they might have got a little concerned that we were just going to abandon the Buffinville site if we were to go start looking in other areas of town. So with COVID, it was hard to set up meetings to meet with the representatives from DEP to explain to them why we were asking for that funding. And again, in my mind, the main reason was we had property owners who were giving us the ability to go onto their property and drill wells to see if there was any other potential public water supply wells that we could get to. And it's hard to get that access. It's hard to get property owners to allow you to get on their property to do that. And one of the properties was Nature's Classroom. Mr. Santos reached out to us to allow us access, and he owns, I believe, 700 acres in Charlton. So rather than just saying, you know, we could ask someone with a well rig to go drill 2 or 3 wells throughout his property and just kind of throw a dart at the wall and, you know, spend 15 grand to drill some wells and see what we get for water. But the correct way to do it is to have Peter Newton do a full geological review of the property, see what's there, you know, look at history, look at, you know, do some fracture trace analysis, do some high level analysis of the property, and give us an area of the property that he thinks we'd be more likely to find a good source of water. So that's why there's a larger cost to doing this type of exploration rather than just hiring Charlton Well or Steve's Repair to go drill a well and see what we get on a piece of property. So I think in my mind, that's still something I'd like to consider. Again, because Mr. Santos reached out to me the other day and said he's still interested in allowing us to do that, which is, I think we're very fortunate to have that opportunity. So I don't want to miss that. But I think in presenting that to DEP in the context that we present it, has them concerned about the money we've already invested into Buffinville. So I would like to try and possibly find a way to dual track both. But I think for right now, for the FY22 request for the scope of work is to, I'm not sure. I guess I want to put it out to you guys, see what your thoughts were, see what your feelings were, and let me know if you want to move forward with this scope of work, or if you maybe pivot and wait and see what we get for RFP proposals. But
do we have to have this in by a certain time, Peter?
I'd like to have it in by July 1 before FY22 starts, so it doesn't look like we're chasing our tails once FY22 begins. So I guess
we won't have the quotes on that road by then.
No, but again, over the past, historically, we've gotten $200,000 a year. That's what they pretty much allowed us to work with. So I think to follow the track that we're on with what they've allowed us to fund, I think the request that's in front of you is probably the best way for us to move forward with the grant funding. I think if, again, I'd like to talk to Peter Newton and see what his thoughts are to get a true cost of exploring the other properties. And maybe we just self-fund that out of our water stabilization account and not ask for grant money. We have quite, not that we have a lot of money there just to spend, but I think it would be a smart investment for the town to do that while the opportunity is there to get on the property and possibly get access and do that. So not to talk around in circles, but again, I'm just trying to let you guys know where my train of thought is. So I think for now, to move forward with FY22, the scope of work that's in front of you is probably the best thing to present to DEP for approval. And then I still think we need to prioritize the other well exploration on other properties in town. And like I said, maybe if we have Peter Newton come and talk to you about what he's going to have to do that and present you with a proposal, then maybe we self-fund that at the special town meeting in the fall, where we just pay for that out of water stabilization, and Peter does that work for us, and we drill some wells in a couple of different properties in town where we can gain access and see what we find. Because I'm sure as many of you, as you know, it's not, we can always find a piece of property, but then gaining access to it and possibly purchasing it and making it work is a whole nother level of trying to get things done. So.
All right. Well, so do you want to go with this plan, Peter? Is that what you think we should do?
I do. I just wanted, again, I wanted you to be aware of well, I guess what we submitted last year, kind of not the roadblocks, but some of the speed bumps that we hit with that request and kind of the feedback I got. So I think the scope of work that's in front of you now is probably the best move forward to get funding. And then, like I said, I guess I just want you guys to have a heads up that I may be presenting the potential other properties to you in the future for funding, self-funding from ourselves if there's no objection. If you guys think about this right now and there's big red flags saying you don't want me to continue on that path, and let me know and I won't waste my time. But I guess what I'd be looking for tonight is a motion to approve the scope of work that's in front of you, and maybe a head nod saying, yes, we work with Peter, get us a proposal to consider funding on our own for the other properties, the other property exploration.
So let's talk about that for a second, Peter. Do you have places in mind?
Well, again, the Santos property is one. And again, it's a large parcel. There's a lot of property there. And it's also just off of, not far from Route 169, where our water line currently is.
Yep.
We also have the Masonic Home public water supply wells that were recently taken offline because they connected to municipal water. And they were actively drawing 35 to 45,000 gallons per day with no problems. So I think that's a piece of property we really need to get aggressive in pursuing. I've tried to reach out to the Overlook. I've tried to set up meetings, but and then we've also, Mr. Jennings also has a parcel on North Sturbridge Road that he's offered us to be able to do some drilling on to see what's possible down there as well.
Peter, the Masonic Home wells, are they going to decommission those as part of hooking up the water?
No, because it's a public water supply well and there was no contamination, they're not getting decommissioned.
What's going to happen with the water? What's going to happen with them? Can we take them over?
Yeah, that would be my goal. Yes.
I like that. They're already there.
Yes.
Like a no-brainer.
Yes, and the property where the wells are currently abut the cemetery behind the library, behind the ball fields. So we could get our own access to them that way. So again, it's not as easy as saying it, but I think it's something we need to actively pursue. And again, last year, almost have to write off as being non-productive due to COVID, especially at the Overlook. It was, there was no way to get access to the property because of what they were doing to protect their residents, which is definitely understandable. And their priorities were to do everything they could to protect their residents during the whole pandemic. So now that we're kind of coming out of that, I just kind of want to, again, reprioritize and redirect kind of where I'm going for you guys so that we can continue to move forward and not lose sight of that.
Right. All right, does somebody want to make a motion for this scope of work?
I'll make a motion to proceed with the current scope of work.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, Peter.
Mr. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Gagnon?
Aye.
And Mr. Cantwell?
Aye.
Great, unanimous, thank you. And as far as, again, moving forward, again, I'll do this separately from the grant to move forward and get some proposals from Peter Newton to possibly look at the other properties that we mentioned. Does that kind of make sense to everybody here?
That makes perfect sense to me, especially the Masonic Home, Peter.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Andy, thank you.
I'll continue moving forward.
Yeah, thank you guys. Hopefully at some point, it was nice to see you guys, but hopefully at some point we can do this in person.
Right.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's it. You don't need anything else from me?
Nope, we're good.
All right.
I believe that's it.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. Other business?
I have none.
None. Next meeting.
The first Monday in July is conflict with the holiday, I believe, correct? I believe so.
Yep.
So what's the Monday following?
12th.
All right. So July 12th.
All right. And if you need anything signed before then, Sue, let us know.
Yes, I will. And I'll see you guys. Can you guys stop by before 12 maybe, please? So I can get the invoices done.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
Oh, of course.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
So I'll be working tomorrow morning. So
Okay.
Any time that I could come
You're cutting out on me, Cam.
as soon as possible. I could come at like 4:30.
No, the plant closes at 3:30.
Oh, I said I'll be working from 7 to 30.
I'm sorry. I can't.
I can come like early as I don't know when you get
I'm there at 7.
there.
You keep on cutting out, Cam.
Mm.
Am I back now? I think I'm back.
Yep. So what time do you need to be?
Okay.
Sue's in at 7 a.m.
I'm also
I can be there earlier.
7 a.m. I could go there at like 6-ish if that's okay. That'd probably be 6:15. I don't know. I have to be there for 7 as well, and it's in Westboro.
We'll just get Russ to sign. I'll have Russ stop there.
Yeah, we can just get Russ to stop by, Sue.
Okay.
That's okay, Cam.
That'd be
Sorry
great.
for the inconvenience.
That's all right.
All right. Anybody else got anything? Adjourn.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
I
Sure.
second that motion.
All right, roll call vote. Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you, everybody. We appreciate all the help, support, and everything that we've put forward tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks, Peter.